If you can walk, come to my voice. If you can hear my voice, come to my voice.
In general terms, the Bay Area is most susceptible to a large-scale earthquake. The laboratory sits just above one of the most dangerous faults in California, the Hayward Fault, that runs just below the Blackberry Gate.
Today's exercise was a 7.7 magnitude earthquake. The epicenter was about 6 miles from the laboratory. So what we had was a catastrophic event for the Bay Area. Utility systems down, so no water, no power. Gas lines needing to be shut off so that they don't cause additional fire hazards. And then multiple buildings at the laboratory collapsed, and as a result of that, we had a mass casualty event.
We plan and train our teams all year long, and then every year, usually in late summer, we do an annual exercise where we present a scenario. We make that scenario as real as we possibly can. We put our teams in the field physically to go out and handle the various aspects and situations we throw at them. And then here we test the Emergency Operations Center staff, the command and control staff, to see that they can handle all of the different twists and turns that we create in a simulated emergency. The primary objective that we're trying to accomplish today is protecting people, saving lives. Our secondary objective today is to protect the lab.
This is an exercise. This is the EOC to building 74 BET need. We understand that you need more supplies.
I have a damage report.
Kind of get an update focusing on the priorities that are here on the board.
56, we've got some smells coming out that we don't quite know yet. We're waiting.
56 confirmed. We got a hazmat release.
We have a large chemical load on site and other particular hazards that are used in research, perfectly safe under any number of conditions. However, if we were to get an earthquake or other hazard, we could actually have a spill or a release that could do some level of contamination. And so that's what we train and prepare for, how to contain that, how to minimize that, how to recover from those situations.
We also have a host of equipment and facilities that we use for emergency response. And during an exercise, we actually test each one of those.
We have an on-site fire department, we have a contract with a police agency, we have our own security staff that not only do security but are trained as emergency medical technicians, and we have all the available resources in the Bay Area that can respond and help us. In a major earthquake, however, when all of those regional assets are tied up, we rely on ourselves. And so we have 4 volunteer disaster assistance teams. These are employees who have full-time jobs but have volunteered to take on additional training.
We have our community emergency response team that wears green, and they help with search and rescue, fire suppression, patient assessment and triage. And we have medical emergency response teams. They are red, and they are EMT basic trained to provide medical assessment and triage. And then we also have damage assessment teams that would evaluate our facilities after an earthquake. Our last team is building emergency teams, and they help us implement the protective actions at the facility level.
We also have another group of employees that you see here that will run the Emergency Operations Center. So in total, we have over 700 lab employees that have volunteered for one of those teams.
Centennial Bridge has collapsed, and the Strawberry Gate is inaccessible at this time.
We need to really make it a priority to start getting numbers on those that are injured or deceased.
The EOC to building 85 BET.
The EOC is the Emergency Operations Center. We are activated only when there is an emergency. People come to the facility, and we are the command and control component of managing the overall responsibility for the emergency. That includes the initial response, taking care of people, protecting the lab's property and assets. How do we get back into operations? How do we minimize the different threats or events that happened on site? And how do we communicate with all of our off-site partners?
I'm one of the mission support officers for the Emergency Response Organization, and we act as liaisons to the research divisions to figure out the impacts of the emergency on those divisions and which functions at the lab may need to be considered as essential, and how do we keep those going. And then if you have non-essential operations, especially in laboratories, how do you shut those down in a safe way and then get them back up once the situation's over and you can start normal operations again.
In these type of simulated situations, it's very hard. They don't follow a particular plan, so there's a lot of thinking involved, taking all the concepts that we train for and putting them into action. Really trying to prioritize what it would be like in a real event, and therefore there's pressure, there are timelines, there are unexpected events. All those help our people understand how important it is to perform their role, perform it well, and to follow the training that we've provided. We can do a lot of planning, we can do a lot of procedures, we can do a lot of training, but when you actually get to put into practice the things that we've been trying to teach, that's where the real learning occurs. We identify shortcomings in equipment, staffing, procedures, any number of other things, and then we go ahead and make those corrections, change the training, add additional equipment, and make ourselves better prepared for the next time around.